What is going on, guys? This is Miasin, and welcome to day 3 of me with no beard, but it's just a matter of time before I get it back, so it's fine. But yeah, we basically just got some more results from tournaments in the OCG. This one is a YCS, but it's a best out of 1, so nobody cares, but it does include Phantom Nightmare, which is very relevant. And that set is extremely nice. It definitely will change the metagame in Yu-Gi-Oh! Both for the TCG and OCG. Obviously, in the OCG, we can already see the results, but it's probably going to be better in the TCG since there is no Maxi. And this set really supports combo decks like crazy. The new Link 3 Fire Monster is ridiculously cracked. One of the best Link monsters ever. And yeah, I mean, they have it now, and everybody and their mother is trying to play it. Like, you're gonna see it's in a lot of deck lists. Yeah, I will be going over a bunch of deck list and tournaments results, but before this video starts, you already know the drill. Friendly reminder to like and subscribe, and now let's get right into it. Alright, so who won the YCS in Nagoya in Japan? It was Sinful Spoil's Snake Eye Fire King. This deck is very good, actually. I looked into it, and most people were playing the Sinful Spoil Fire King deck without the Snake Eyes. And I didn't like that, actually. I really like the Snake Eyes. I actually think they're extremely good. There's a good reason why I say that. They're very nice one-card starters. I mean, there's Ash that's a one-card starter. I don't know what it does in the Fire King deck, but I know that in the Inferno deck, it's like 7 interruptions or something ridiculous. Just one card. It's actually crazy. You mill every single Inferno monster in your deck with one single copy of what's-his-face. So it's actually really nice. But yeah, no, I really like the deck. It's very nice. And then Labyrinth, obviously, this deck will never die because just another trap deck that is very consistent. It's the best at being able to play on the opponent's turn on turn 0. So yeah, even though it's a trap deck, it's not slow whatsoever. You don't feel like it takes forever to set up. I've even played against Labyrinth players who were Nibiru-able on turn 1, which is ridiculous. Like the fact that you can literally use Nibiru on a trap deck when it goes first. Altergeist is the other deck that does it. It's correct, but yeah. Sinful Spoil's Rescue-ACE Snake Eye. It's actually crazy how Rescue-ACE is really falling off in play. People are replacing Rescue-ACE with Fire King over there in the OCG. Fire King is just the deck that has that kind of does something similar to Rescue-ACE, as in it also plays the Sinful Spoil's engine and it does it really well, but it doesn't have to play all the bricks that Rescue-ACE has to play, because having to play a bunch of spells and shops that you have to set with the Turbulence is kind of dog shit, and when your Turbulence doesn't go through, you're basically playing one of the worst decks ever. But yeah, I'm not gonna cover all of these decks right now. I'm going to obviously look at the deck list first. So this is the Sinful Spoil's Snake Eye Fire King deck. This is very basic, but at the same time, I don't think this is really fine-tuned in a way, because we're seeing one Ash, well, I mean, not Ash, the hand shot, but rather Snake Eye Ash, as well as one Populace, 2 Ponix. Obviously, these ratios are fine, but then we're also seeing this player max out pretty much on the Fire King monsters. 3 Arvata with 3 Kirin, obviously, and then 2 Garunix, which I think might be a little too much if you're trying to play the Snake Eyes, but at the same time, you could also argue that this is the perfect number. And then instead of Infinite Impermanence, we're seeing Jewel and Logbird. I don't know how to feel about this. Maybe Joel is good in the OCG. I don't think it is, though, because a lot of decks can just play through Joel like it's nothing, actually. The Fire King deck doesn't really care that much about Joel. I mean, it depends when you Joel them. Obviously, if you Joel them on the Ponix when they search for the continuous spell, and then they get the island doesn't do anything anymore because you can't search. But if you draw them after they search with the island, then it just does nothing. So if they hard draw the continuous spell, Joel is useless, and that's the reason why we're seeing some deck lists play 3 copies of the continuous spell or 3 copies of the field spell. Obviously not terraforming, because that defeats the purpose of even trying to play around Joel. But yeah, a lot of search cards in this deck because of the Snake Eye package. But to be fair, even when you do Joel Snake Eyes, it's not even that good, because they can still use the effect to like evolve into another Snake Eye and then eventually into Flamberge Dragon. But this build is it's very confusing because it's written Snake Eye Fire King Sinful Spoils, but it's not actually the real Snake Eye deck because it's only playing 1 Ash, 1 Populace, and no Flamberge Dragon. So yeah, we kind of got scammed on that one, but I still think it's a good deck list, honestly. And there's a good reason why this guy won a 4,000 player YCS. It's actually nuts. It's the only YCS series in OCG. It's always in Japan, once a year, a lot of players, and it's a best out of 1. Pretty much just like, you know, just like Master Duel. I am pretty sure anyone can enter these YCSs, regardless of which country you're from. I'm pretty certain that we've had TCG players play into these YCSs, but I don't know if they're really well known because none of my friends actually have had experiences of playing over there. But yeah, it looks like a really, you know, violent environment, man. It's just best out of one, freaking 8 rounds of Swiss. You lose the dice roll, you're pretty much like on the bubble because you're probably gonna lose that game, and if you lose that game, you lose the match basically. But yeah, no, so it's a good deck list, and you're gonna see this everywhere, by the way. It's the new tier 1, absolutely everywhere. Anyways, Labyrinth, this is very standard, but I am shocked to see the Mudora still. I think Keldo is banned. I know Agido and Kelbeck are banned, so yeah, it kind of makes sense. Oh, and obviously, by the way, no side deck. No shit, because it's a best out of 1, so that's the reason why it's just main deck, extra deck. But yeah, the rest of the deck, whatever. I mean, Nibiru, main deck in a best out of 1 is very bold. I don't dislike it, because if it pays off, it pays off. And it has a really nice interaction with the furniture monsters. Use Nib, and then you chain your furniture, discard the Nib, everything gets tributed, and then your furniture still resolves, and nothing is summoned off of the Nib. So you don't get the Nib, and your opponent does not get a token. I actually think this is very good. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what this trap card here is, like before the Ice Dragon's Prison. Not sure, maybe I've seen it before. Maybe it's the Overroot Terror or something. Probably not, but Terrors of the Netherroot, I actually have no idea, but it doesn't look like it. So yeah, if you have the answer, let me know in the comments, but this is a transaction rollback, and we will be getting this in January. It's a very good card. It's featured in every single Labyrinth deck. Basically, the point is to discard it with your furnitures, and then you can copy your welcome, your big welcome, and then you can summon another monster again. I am shocked to see the lack of Unchained Engine in this deck. I actually just think the Unchained cards are extremely good in Labyrinth. I personally play 1 Sharvara and 1 Escape, and then I'm playing a bunch of the Link monsters in my extra deck. I actually think it's just insane. If you're going first, or, I mean, obviously going second, it's less good because then you might draw the bricks. But yeah, no, I just think they're good cards. Anyways, Sinful Suppose, Snake Eye, Rescue-ACE. So the Snake Eye cards, honestly, will just change Yu-Gi-Oh! So much once we get them, and I will be making a video on them, but this deck, Rescue-ACE, even though it used to be like the #1 play deck in the OCG, like I said, it's just losing, it's missing, it's dropping in popularity. Bonfire is also seeing a lot of play. We are getting that card at the same time as Transaction Rollback in Maze of Millennia in January. So for all you guys that were planning on playing a Snake Eye deck, whatever, Fire King deck for YCS Bologna in December, you will have to do it without the Snake Eye cards because Bonfire is not a thing. And either way, even if Bonfire was around, there is no Populace yet because this card is in Phantom Nightmare. And I'm talking about this card right here, just before the Kurikara. So yeah, that's the main reason why people are playing Bonfire, because when you search this, you special summon it, and then you search for your Sinful Suppose Snake Eye, and then you get to summon your Hydrant, and you get to play the game. So it's just more copies of the 1-for-1 spell, and more copies of the Hunter Wanted. 15 Link monsters in the extra deck, that's actually wild. No Abyss Dweller, no, Mud Dragon of the Swamp with Proxy F Magician. It's really just a Link toolbox, and I really like that, so if people are randomly playing Dimensional Barrier against you, like Labyrinth for example, they're gonna lose, and that's the reason why this Labyrinth deck cannot afford to play Dimensional Barrier whatsoever. The Fire King deck, by the way, also does not lose to Dimensional Barrier whatsoever because you are XC summoning on your opponent's turn with the continuous spell. So yeah, this deck just plays a lot on the opponent's turn, even though it doesn't look like it. And you also have a built-in Monster Negate. You can also play the Hanuman, which is a Spell or Trap Negate. The deck is very resilient, and obviously the recovery is crazy because of Barong. Of course, I will be making a video on all these decks very soon. But yeah, more Sinful Spoil, Snake Eye, Fire King, this time with 3 continuous spell card. I think this is not a bad decision whatsoever. I don't dislike the 3. 2 Wanted is a little wild. I think this card is so broken, I would always play 3. You know, if you activate it, even if it gets like ashed or this gets ashed, you can still use the Graveyard effect to draw 1. So there's really no drawback to playing 3 copies of the Wanted. And you can't say that it's probably not because it's expensive. But yeah, Super Poly in the main deck also, that's kind of wild. But I think Super Poly is insane against the Fire King deck. They were not really ending on too many non-fire monsters. Yeah, and even when you are playing on your turn and they're trying to XC summon, you can chain Super Poly and then fuse with their Kirin and Garunix, and then you make Garura, and then yeah, they can't XC summon the rank 8 Fire King to destroy all the monsters on your board. That's the main interruption that they have, by the way. Anyways, now we've got Purrely. This deck still exists, I don't know why. And the reason why I say that is because it has a very, very, very bad matchup against Goblin Rider. Even though you're not seeing any Goblin Riders on the screen right now, it's just a matter of time before we start seeing some of the cards. this deck has a terrible matchup against a bunch of the Goblin Rider cards. Because you can just detach the level 1 cat, and then the Purrely Noir can no longer use its effect as a quick effect. And then the deck starts being really, really bad. So yeah, I do not like Purrely in the OCG. I don't think it's in a good position whatsoever. I would stay very far away from that deck. Especially when you factor in that there's only one Sleepy. So they have to play 3 of the shitty Chap. They're maximum drawing 2 cards on your standby with the Noir. And then Delicious is at 2. So it's like the worst of both worlds. I, again, would not be playing this deck at all. Anyway, Sinful Spoil, Snake Eye, Rescue-ACE. Again, with this time Olion and Jet Synchron. So this is the Auradon combo that summons the Synchro monsters to make a lot of negates. We have something relatively similar in the TCG. People are summoning the Jet Synchron instead of the Hydrant when they already have Airlifter access. And that way they can end on a Borreload Savage as well as Baron and the set 4. And then on the next turn they go Alert or something. Revive back the Preventer or Turbulence, doesn't matter. And then their trap cards are live, so it's not too bad. Now, Centur-Ion, this is a deck list that I've shared with you guys not too long ago. Actually, no, a while back. This is the Horus Centur-Ion deck. You can play Nadir Servant in it. And there are a lot of really cool targets with this card. So you can send the Despian Lulu-Walilith, and then on the end phase you get to summon the Primera because it is a level 4 light spellcaster with 1500 attack and defense. So just like that you can get your engine started, but a little too late because it will be on the end phase. But another really cool thing about Nadir Servant is that there is a new target now, which is the level 8 Water Cyberus monster. I have made a video on this card briefly, a little bit. And this card, whenever it's sent to the graveyard, it's pretty much like a new Dogmatica punishment target. You get to target any monster on either player's field or graveyard, if I recall correctly, and then place it in the spell and trap zone as a continuous trap card. You do have to discard a card to use this effect, but it happens on the resolution, not as a cost, so if it gets negated, you're not going neg whatsoever. It's a really good form of removal, and it has a lot of attacks, so it's always easier to send with your Nadir Servant and your punishment. I really like this new Cyrus monster. Just a really good support for a lot of decks, and you can also Synchro summon it in your deck because it's a level 8 Synchro monster, generic, so it's a fantastic card. And again, this deck can easily lock the opponent out with Hard Red Dragonish Fiend King Calamity. For some reason, this combo is still not banned, so obviously people are trying to abuse it. And then there's the Cosmic Blazar Dragon. The reason why this card is here, I think this is Cosmic Blazar, I could be wrong, but the reason why this card is here is because if the opponent chains like randomly does something to make the Crimson Dragon miss timing, you can't go into, well, I mean, not the Crimson Dragon miss timing, but this to miss timing, you can't obviously summon that because this is an optional when effect, so you would have to summon a generic level 12 Synchro monster, and this one is very good. And also you can summon 2 level 12 Synchro monsters off of the Crimson Dragon, like once on your opponent's turn, and then another one next turn. So yeah, this is a joke to summon, honestly. But yeah, this deck is very consistent. It plays with 1 card, and if you win the dice roll, you basically just win immediately. It's almost an FTK deck, but the going second is not fantastic. And that's the reason why this deck is being supplemented with a lot of hand traps. So 2 Nibiru, 3 Ash, 3 Maxi, 2 Veiler, 1 Bell, 3 Emperor, as well as 2 Super Poly, and 3 Nadir Servant. This deck does not need to play any bricks in order to function, outside maybe of the Emmet 6. This card is not really good, and I don't know if it's trying to play the spells and the traps, but yeah, these cards might not be the best, but apart from that, the Field Spell is a starter, True Day is a starter, Primera is a starter, and if you're playing Bonfire, that's also a starter, and this card right here also is a starter, so yeah, it's just, you got like at least 12 1-card starters, and then of course Nadir Servant, stuff like that, so yeah, you only play with 1 card, and then you've got the rest of your engine. But again, when you get stopped, you're not doing much, so that's the issue with this deck. But yeah, if you know how to interrupt your opponent at the right time with your hand traps and stuff like that, you should be fine for the most part. But yeah, it's a really cool deck. And then Sinful Spoil, Snake Eye, Fire King again. Yeah, this is getting very repetitive because every deck list is the same. It's always the exact same ratio for at least the version without the heavy Snake Eye package. This is just very misleading because it's not really the Snake Eye deck. It's, I mean, the Snake Eye engine. It's really just 1 Ash and 1 Populace. But you guys will eventually see what I'm talking about. And then nobody cares about that. Silent Enforcer is the first interesting deck that is completely different from what I've covered before. The cool thing about Silent Enforcer is that it allows you to generically abuse ritual monsters, which means that you're not forced to just use the ritual monsters of the Silent Enforcer archetype, which are Soravis, crap, the skull guard, the skull knight or something, maybe not, and then the freaking the one that draws 2 and then discards 1. I forgot the name, but yeah, you can also play the mechanical engine in Silent Forcer, and it's actually really insane because Ohime is just such a good card. It does so much on its own. You're gonna be able to search another card, and then when you summon it, you get back a ritual spell from like your grave, and Reflection Rondo to like steal an opponent's monster. You could play with Fury or something, and then search like the Spirit Walk, and then interrupt your opponent even more. But then you might have to play some breaks, but at the same time, it does make your going second much better because the mechanical cards are cracked going second. So you should look into Mechanical Silent Forcer if you're trying to play this deck. Also, another very consistent deck has a lot of starters. Diviner of the Heralds as well as the Silent Forcer level 1 monster. One cool thing about Diviner is that you can either send Herald of the Arclight, or you can send the Trias something, and then you tribute the Diviner, and then you summon the level 1, and that kind of gets your stuff going. Very toolboxy as well. You can easily link summon and remove all kinds of things, because you're spamming the board very quickly. Anyways, another Rescue-ACE deck, nobody cares. Horus Adventure Phantom Knight, cool deck, but nobody really cares. And then this is another tournament in, well, actually in China, 350 players. Finally, what I was talking about before. So yeah, the Sinful Spoil Snake Eye Fire King deck, but for real this time. We can see the Flamberge Dragon, which is the card that I've been talking about, as well as 3 copies of the Snake Eye Ash. This card is, like I said, extremely cracked, and it really is worth exploring even more for what it can do. It's just such an explosive card. If you figured out some combos in the Fire King deck and nobody knows what you're trying to do, they might hand trap you incorrectly. And again, like in the Inferno deck, this card just does so much on its own with literally nothing else. So it's just honestly insane to see. But in this deck, I would not be shocked if it does the same. And then you also have your Vonix. You really don't have to play 3. Same thing with the Arvata. I really like that this deck list just feels so correct. Like only one Arvata, because this card is not the kind of card that you're necessarily trying to draw. No Barong is definitely very interesting because it's the kind of card that gives you a lot of follow-up. Every single turn you're searching a card. And you can also loop Fire King, Arvata, and Barong to never run out of gas. And then 1 Garunix, that's also all you need, I want to say. So yeah, almost every single cards, like every card in this deck list is just like a perfect ratio. Oh yeah, and also Onslaught of the Fire Kings. This is another interesting card with 3 Bonfire. So yeah, this deck list, I want to say, does look like it loses a little bit more to Drool, but not even by a long shot, because even under Drool, you can still at least make like the Link 3 and then play from there, and then still end on a couple of interruptions. I can't see the Link 4 that destroys. Oh, actually, it doesn't matter because, oh, there's Zeroboros. That is a fire monster, is it? Hold on a second, I just gotta double check. No, it is a dark monster, never mind. So you cannot summon it under the restriction of the Link 3 monster. A little unfortunate, but it is not the end of the world. But yeah, this deck is just so consistent again. It's a very safe deck to play. It will see play at YCS Bologna, but until we get Phantom Nightmare, it's not going to be at absolute full power because we're also missing the Link 3 monster, which is how you're getting an extra interruption and even more just juice going second and going first too. And it's crazy to see that this deck can also play Heat Soul, but it does make sense because you've got Heat Leo, and then you can turn like any Link 1 into Link Rebo, and then you got 2 Cyrus with different attributes. So yeah, Heat Soul easy in this deck. Very innovative as well. Yeah, even more hand traps in the side deck. Like, what the hell is this? Like, freaking 6, 8, 11 hand traps in the main with 5, 7 in the side. Jesus. Imagine 18 hand traps with freaking 2 Super Poly, 2 Talents, evenly, stuff like that. Absolutely wild. Anyways, Horus Centur-Ion. Okay, so this, I want to say, is the deck list that people were looking at the most when they were considering playing the Centurion deck in the TCG. Because it, again, just seriously lacks the power level going second. But the Horus engine really does help with that. You can actually bait hand traps with this. I mean, even though you're not really losing to Ash or Droll in this deck, this engine might, if anything, might make you lose to these cards a little bit more. But, you know, you're still generating so many bodies that they can really help you out, making Dingirsu Breakboard, Zombie Vampire. I don't know why this is here. I'll play Galaxy as Photon Lord, but I guess this can also get your stuff going. And you can use the Horus monsters as synchro materials because they're level 8 and you've got level 4 tuners. So you can hard make the Legatea without having to rely on Emmet 6 or Trudea. It's cool, but I mean, it's up to you if you want to play that engine or play like Prosperity with more handtraps and Super Poly and stuff like that. Yeah, very nice deck. And Gamma and Driver in the main deck, that is because the field spell makes you discard a card anyways. So if you got like Gamma going first, you just discard it. And if you got Gamma going second, then it's good. And if you got Driver, then again, it's just going to be your discard fodder. So you can even afford to main deck cards like Evenly Matched or Dark Ruler in this deck. But these cards suck this format, so I'm not a big fan. And then, yeah, Solemn Judgment in the side deck, because this deck does not really lose to hand traps. It does lose to, like, very obscure hand traps like Ghost Ogre, but it doesn't lose to Maxi. And that's the reason why Ghost Ogre is randomly here in the deck, because since this deck does lose to it, Crossout Designator being able to cover it is very nice. But Ghost Ogre sucks so much that you're now trying to play more than one. Anyways, now we've got branded. Nobody really cares. And also, they only have one branded fusion, one branded opening. That's whack. 2 Shifter in the side. I can't believe this card still exists. But nobody's really trying to play that card in the OCG. Another branded, very similar. I mean, it literally looks identical, actually. Almost looks like the exact same build. And Gimmick Puppet Nightmare for the lock. And then a Horus Chimera. I've seen this a little bit. It looks nice, but I mean, I guess you start with the Horus engine first, and then you go for Photon Lord, and now they can't ash your stuff anymore. So it's actually really cool. It's definitely nice synergy. But we can see something very spicy here. So 2 illusion monsters that, I mean, I didn't really expect to ever see play. So you got Tao, the Great Chanter or something. It's a monster reborn when it's foolish, but then it locks you for illusion only. And it only revives back an illusion monster. And then the Wax guy, it's kind of like a Battle Fader Dark Ruler no more-esque monster, but it's very reactive, very slow. I'm not a big fan of this. I think this is just kind of copium. Playing an illusion monster just because you can. Obviously, they're all super easy to search and access. They're not good. That's my issue. The only good illusion monsters at the moment are the illusions from the Chimera deck. And then the Frightful package, so it can fuse into Guardian Chimera and break boards. Yeah, not bad at all. So it's a nice deck, very consistent as well. Yeah, at least the Horus engine helps you play through the Ash. And there's no branded fusion engine either because it is limited in the OCG. So that's the reason why this deck is not seeing as much play in the OCG as it is in the TCG. Obviously way less good. Whereas the branded, on the other hand, the Despia deck, less problematic because there's just so many ways of accessing your branded fusion. And even without this card, you still have so many options like branded in High Spirits, that's a good card. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it actually. But yeah, cool deck. Anyways, we've got Silent Forcer again. It's very similar to the deck list that I showed before. And now for another tournament, which is in Malaysia, for a... Yeah, this looks crazy. Blackluster Soldier, the normal monster. How expensive is that? Like $10,000? Something like that? But yeah, I can't believe it was actually won by Salamangreat. The only interesting thing here, first of all, there is the Mir, whatever. That card sucks. And then EMP Grim Yaud. This card's insane. I talked about this card and how it would be completely busted in the Sprite strategy. But apparently it's also seeing play in Salamangreat, which makes sense because it is a Cyberse monster. You can easily search it with Sided Mining, and if you can link off on your opponent's turn, you can trigger this card, and then, well, I mean, you go Masquerena or SP Little Knight, and then send it to the graveyard or banish it, and then that will trigger the EMP, bounce back a card your opponent controls, and yeah, that's just insane, honestly. And it also allows Lady Debug to be a semi one-card combo. You can at least go normal Debug, search this, and then Veilings, and then special summon that, and then make like a, I don't know, SP Little Knight, and then pass turn, actually. But yeah, Salamangreat can also play the new Link 3 monster extremely well. And the Link 4 is really insane. Like, you can search any Salamangreat card from your deck to your hand when it's summoned. And this deck, for some reason, is playing Kaiser Coliseum in the side. That is extremely interesting. I don't recall Salamangreat being a Protect the Castle deck where you only have one monster. So yeah, it's a weird card, definitely for sure. And then finally, this is what I was talking about before with Purrely being ass. It's because of the Goblin Rider monsters. Basically, there's a bunch of them that are kind of like hand traps where you can special summon them by detaching a material from any Xyz monster on the board. So yeah, it's just the Purrely matchup just looks completely free when you play these cards. And that's the reason why the only performing Purrely deck was in this YCS, actually, the best out of one. Anything else, we didn't really see Purrely. So yeah, keep that in mind. But yeah, it doesn't matter too much until Phantom Nightmare, of course. Anyways, another Horus Centur-Ion deck, 10 billion hand traps with the Horus engine. Yeah, that's absolutely wild. And then more Floodgates. This deck is so good under summon limits, so why not play it themselves? And Silent Forcer again. This deck list is literally the exact same as the other two that I showed, that I've shown before. There's still no Mechanical Engine, unfortunate. Natura Runic, nobody cares because this deck does not exist in the TCG. And then Sinful Spoil, Snake Eye Fire King. But not really, because there's only one Ash, one Populace, and then no Flamberge, but this deck list is running Hanuman and 3 copies of the Ponyx, which is a little too much, but whatever, it's fine. And then Natura Horus, this is cute, but garbage. I mean, not garbage, it's obviously good in the OCG, but it doesn't exist in the TCG. There is the Sarcophagus Field Spell for the Horus engine, which I think is a little overkill. I actually don't think this card is too great, honestly. But, I mean, it does search your Mseti, but you're going neg like crazy, so I don't know if I'm a big fan. Yeah, whatever. And then Sky Striker with the Link 3 monster again. You can revive back your Kagari, which is very funny. And then you can go into a Link 4. And there is no Link 4 in this deck, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, alright, very old deck, and it also is playing the Wax Illusion monster, which I also think is dog shit. And then Chain Disappearance, Daruma Karma Cannon, D-Barrier, a bunch of random trap cards. I don't see how you're accessing them. Again, the trap card that I'm not 100% sure of what it is. Random Ass Curse Seal, the Forbidden Spell, 1 Thrust, only 1. And then, yeah, this is, oh my god, just so many weird one-offs in this deck. Oh, bruv, what is this? Anyways, another deck that isn't what, you know, is told to be. One skill drain, actually, that's a first. I wasn't expecting skill drain in the Fire King deck, but it makes so much sense because you got so many graveyard effects, so many in-hand effects. So yeah, skill drain is actually kind of cool. And yeah, no, I really like that, actually. Yeah, if anything, people should be side decking 3 skill drains in their Fire King deck. I actually think it's insane. Anyways, Rescue-ACE, whatever. I mean, this is very boring and it's always the same, so nobody cares. Again, same thing. Fire King with a Flamberge, but only 1 Ash. And then 9 Handtraps, no Imperm. I've seen deck list very similar to that one before. And okay, yeah, so that is a trend apparently. Skill drain in the side now. So this time we're progressing further in the metagame, because before it was really just like on the release of the set, but now it's like very recent tournament reports. Anyways, D-Barrier for no reason, even though I don't think any deck loses to D-Barrier, like Rescue-ACE and Fire King don't lose to D-Barrier whatsoever. Silent Enforcer does lose to D-Barrier calling rituals though, so that's interesting, yeah, and that's, oh yeah, maybe this card is gonna gain in popularity. Oh wow. Anyways, Rescue-ACE again, Labyrinth, oh my god, bro, what the hell? Yeah, alright, Shifter, okay, yeah. Oh, Keldo is not banned, what the? So why was the guy before playing one... Bro, what the hell? One Mudora, no Keldo? I mean, yeah, you can argue that maybe Mudora is better than Keldo if it has more attack, because, you know, it's not like you can search anything since the other Ishizus are banned anyway, so it kind of makes sense, but whatever. Oh my god, they're all the same. But actually, no, this time, this deck is playing the Dear Servant. Okay, yeah, that's unusual, but I don't know if it's really necessary. Anyways, these deck lists are also pretty much the same, but this time, we've got the Mechanco deck finally, and it's doing something very different from what we're seeing in the TCG, where people are doing Lava Golem and then giving them to their opponent with the Geonator Transverser, and this is also not playing Isolde. So yeah, actually, there's nothing in common almost with the TCG version. Still a very good deck though. I guess what is in common is the Sinful Spoils engine with the Renault, so that you can easily recycle back your Arabesque and Mayo, no, maybe not White Mayo Ashidori, because this has a graveyard effect anyways. And this deck can also abuse Colossus because you can Synchro Summon for Cupid Pitch using... I mean, it's really easy to do, like a Mechanical with Renault, for example, and then you sync it off, and then you search for the Nemesis Corridor, and then you just use, like, any... I mean, like, the Jet Synchron, for example, will be banishing itself, and then you shuffle it back, summon the Nemesis Corridor, turn it into a Colossus, and you win the game. Anyways, Chimera Horus, again, because they don't have Branded Fusion, so you gotta do that, and then Labyrinth, whatever, and that's it, that's all. So yeah, the OCG format is looking to be very interesting with the new set, Phantom Nightmare, but people are not messing around with the Goblin Rider deck that much, and they're not playing Raid Raptor, which I am very disappointed with. Anyways, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.